Greetings, my fellow freedom silent thinkers of the Music News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Tuesday morning to be exact, August 29th, 2017. Yes, early Tuesday morning, past midnight, and just chilling. I'm actually at the Third Inn restaurant, located at 1410 Marcellus Boulevard, East Los Angeles to be exact, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Historical landmark, been here since 1937 if I'm correct. Nostalgic facility. Had a lot of character, a lot of photos. 24/7 joint. You have the characters coming here too, certain nights. Very interesting. So, I come around here a lot as I live in Victoria Park. Yeah, so it's interesting. Actually, there's a lot of disturbing things that are happening right now in Houston. We're getting some reports, like even the Cajun Army, which are like a bunch of guys with their airboats trying to get rescued, got stopped at the state line, being harassed. And according to some reports, and of course the AAP, Associated Press, made a report as well on Mayor Turner told the stand stood down the evacuation. That's considered the fourth largest, most populated city in the United States. A mega city that's like technically underwater in a lot of areas. And as I said, hopefully everyone out there is safe. Put your thoughts in there. Thoughts and prayers for those businesses out there in the Lone Star State, even along the coastline of including Houston, Corpus Christi, Rockport, on the other side of Louisiana, west side. Goes like flounder, stationary, go back and forth, Harvey itself. Now, tropical storm, maybe depression, but you never know. I think it's just really a disturbing, heartbreaking thing. So, if you folks gonna donate money, I recommend you do a little networking before you send it off. So I remember some of these big donation drives, such as United Way and so forth, and even when like 9/11 happened almost 16 years ago, a lot of money went to United Way and haven't really seen the folks and people that haven't really seen one red cent. Very controversial, so I recommend you folks do a little networking before you send the money out there to these companies, to these organizations. Make sure they're meritable, they do things in good faith, not hold it for interest purposes. As you say, expect 400,000 in shelters and all that. 30,000 according to Tribune News Service. So stuff we few gonna be talking about. Yeah, a little bit it's gonna be groggy, but I'll be okay. And it's all about the whole engineering of a race war, and I'm not the only one making these statements. The Derek Bros, who writes for Conscious Resistance, and he did the Houston Free Thinker. Hopefully the brother's okay. And ConsciousResistance.com is his website, and does reports for the Activist Post, of course. And this here mainly talks about the race war is being engineered. It came out on the 27th. This is a 2-part series. I wish I would have got the first part. That's okay. I'll start from here. By Derek Bros. The corporate Deadstream media continues to stoke the flames of an alleged brewing race war. If there's any truth to this tale, or we witnessing something much more nefarious. The division brewing, at least that's what the mainstream media would have you believe if you've been plugged into the Deadstream corporate media, TV, internet, magazine, etc. over the last year. You would likely have spent at least of your time being afraid of the following: ISIS, Russia, ISIS, North Korea. Now you can add white supremacists and anti-fascists to the list of things that should be keep up at night. This is not to say that any of these topics are completely irrelevant. What I'm getting is that the fact that the corporate media, which is owned by a handful of corporations, have the power to influence your thinking and, as a result, keep you afraid or angry. The media and the people behind it are working together to create conflict, to stir the pot, to stoke the flames. In reality, for average Americans, these issues truly represent a small slice of the issues which are of immediate threat to their freedoms and livelihood. While I believe all people should oppose low-level primitive thinking such as racism and bigotry, we should be hesitant to let these stories and pundits play on our fears and push us into violent action. Also, we should remain skeptical and be aware there are infiltrators and provocateurs involved with promoting these fears. That is why I would like to focus on today. We must consider the possibility that the threat of both white supremacists and violent left-wing activists is being blown out of proportion to manipulate the public's emotional state. As a second possibility, these instances of violence are being provoked by a state agency in order to create further conflict and justification of police-state measures in response to the Fox race war. As I wrote in December 2016, the purpose of Donald Trump's presidency is to radically divide the American people. He is not only abandoned conservatives grew tired of mainstream politics and neoconservatism, but his actions and words have lit a fire under the extreme right-wing American politics. This extreme, or the alt-right, includes white nationalists, white supremacists, anti-Semites, former anarcho-capitalists, and libertarians, and others who do not quite fit in with mainstream or even independent politics. Of course, not at all. Donald Trump supporters are racist bigots, and not all those who choose to identify as alt-right should be considered racist bigots. Still, there is no denying that Trump's policies and speeches have given the bigots a glimmer of hope that their ideas might become mainstream. In reaction of the rise of racist faction of the alt-right, we are seeing a growth of the American anti-fascist action, anti-Fa movement. Despite the rumors from the corporate media, this tactic has historical roots. Since at least the 1930s, anti-fascists and anti-racists took the streets of Europe to fight actual fascists. In 2017, the Antifa activities have tended to focus on pro-Donald Trump rallies, freedom of speech rallies, and growing American alt-right. The purpose of this piece is not to argue that white supremacists do not oppose a danger, or that Antifa has not used violence. The purpose is to punch holes in the idea that this conflict over race and identity over 100% organic. To be fair, there have been previous reports warning about the dangers of white supremacists, specifically in the Joint Intelligence Bulletin issued May 10th and obtained by Foreign Policy. DHS and FBI, the white supremacist groups have carried out more violent attacks than any other domestic extremist group over the past 16 years. The report said agencies expected more attacks. There's also a 2006 bulletin warning law enforcement about infiltration by white supremacists. Unfortunately, organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center often lump these legitimate dangers together with warning about peaceful anti-government activists and organizers. White supremacists are not only group striking fear into the heart of some Americans. An online petition calling on the White House to designate anti-Fa terror group has been signed over 300,000 times. It is time for the Pentagon to be consistent in its actions, as they rightfully declare ISIS a terror group. They must declare Antifa a terror group on the grounds of principle, integrity, morality, and safety. The petition reads, unless we all assume that there are 305,000 signatures were done by their white supremacist nemesis, it would seem Antifa's tactics are opposed by a few 100,000 Americans. These two groups, right-wing racists and left-wing anti-fascists, who fight them are quickly becoming a focal point on the latest drama in middle America. The corporate media has done a hell of a job running around-the-clock news coverage of these white supremacists and Antifa. Not only do these groups represent a small minority of Americans, but as I wrote in my last piece, there's a great danger in the FBI or other government agencies infiltrating alt-right white supremacist groups and anti-fascist groups for the purpose of causing or encouraging violence. There's a real danger of masking up while the moments of conflict, not only from law enforcement, but also the possibility of hidden white nationalists who infiltrate to cause disruption or make Antifa conflicts worse. Scott Crow, former Antifa organizer and author of the coming setting, cites History's Reflections of community armed self-defense toward activist posts. We have seen it on with the fake Antifa sites calling for fake violence. The desire to protect one's identity is understandable, but it also opens doors to infiltrators who only desire to initiate chaos and violence without any purpose or message. Police masquerading as black bloc activists have been exposed at the 2001 G Summit in Genoa, Italy, and at protests in 2007 in Quebec, and police posted as activists to infiltrate the Occupy movement. There is also a cost-benefit analysis that needs to be assessed before any strategy or tactic is used. Crown warned, these questions have to be answered by those participating in the streets at any given time, and sometimes it's absolutely necessary and infiltration does happen. We must also consider the infiltration of the right-wing groups, especially the most extreme racist and supremacist groups. While there were internet rumors of crowds on demand organized paying protests for the Charlottesville March, those allegations are not factual. There was another story for the website True Pundit, which claims that anonymous FBI sources confirmed that federal confidential informants were responsible for the violence at Charlottesville March. Unfortunately, anonymous government sources are not credible. We do not have to imagine the entire rally to be fake to understand the identity of provocateurs. As the alt-right supporters begin to don masks and helmets, it's likely that police or private actors will infiltrate for their own purposes. Believe it or not, there is an actual historical precedent for provocateurs playing a role in riots and protests directly related to racism. By the study that Central Intelligence Agencies were promoting riots and racial division in Guyana, one might gain insight into how the FBI or other state agency could operate domestically. So they do have a part 2 coming up here. Conclusions: Engineering Race War. And Kurt Nemo did one earlier today. I seen on Geopolitical Report, Go Newsblads, talking about Charlottesville and FBI control and white supremacists. And there's a big history and articles pertaining to that, including actual documentation. So newsbuzz.com. I'm gonna post that on that site right now. That's make it in, get it in there. But however, it's actually member content only. However, there are links on that site you can really see for yourselves, and it's very interesting. So I recommend everyone check that out. Let me see, Geopolitical Report. I'm doing it over here as we speak. But Kurt Nemo, he's good with InfoWars. Some people can say what they want, but the truth of the matter is, Charlottesville and the FBI's connection to white supremacists. And I gotta say, it was a real good video, so I would recommend you be a subscriber to Newsbuds. However, if you want to, there are clips, show notes in here. You can read for yourself. Return the call to pro FBI documents reveal secret nationwide occupying monitoring. COINTELPRO, the Untold American Story, and FBI funds right-wing violence. So you can really see this for yourselves. It is very interesting. But I will add it to the footnotes. But I'm gonna hit part 2 right now. The race war is being engineered, and Girls One Scan came out today or early today. It says here, as activist votes takes the apparent brewing of the race war in America. In the United States. Guyana is a former colony of the United Kingdom located in South America. It has been reported that U.S. officials fear Guyana will become a communist nation once it gained independence from the UK. The U.S. and UK worry their respective national interests would be threatened should Guyana gain independence under the leadership of Marxist activist Chadi Gagan. The paper, when you're handed money on a platter, it's very hard to say. When you're getting this, the AFL-CIO, the CIA, and British Guyana. Written by Robert Anthony Waters, Jr. of Southern University at New Orleans, and Gordon Oliver Daniels of Mississippi Valley State University, explores the CIA's connection to labor and race disputes in Guyana during the 1960s. The paper explains that until the 1990s, the historical foreign policy files of the American Federation of Labor Congress and of industrial organizations, AFL-CIO for Anchorage, remained unseen by the public around this time. The paper's AFL-CIO International Affairs Department Chief J. Lovestone were opened at the Hoover Institution. The Lovestone collection has a tremendous amount of files dealing with the CIA's role in assisting the AFL-CIO's international efforts. According to the AFL-CIO, foreign policy files related to the CIA were missing. U.S. intervention in British Guyana is one of the CIA's least known covert operations. The only mainstream news stories came out in 1967, while Neil Sheenan of the New York Times described the CIA effort to bring down Joggin, as did the Sunday Times of London. At the center of the allegations was the AFL-CIO, which had provided British Guyana's unions with training and financial aid, and had provided secret funding to Guyanese opposition parties. Most of the money for these operations came from the CIA, which finally acknowledged its role in April 2005. The New York Times and Sunday Times stories were part of a wave of revelation about CIA funding of the arts, religious and student groups, as well as labor, and were not followed up. The CIA helped fund major strikes and riots that took place all over Guyana in 1962 and 63. Using AFL-CIO's cover, the CIA helped create labor tensions, race riots, and other violence that helped unseat Joggin in 1964. The leader preferred by the United States, Forbes Burnham, would go on to lead a 20-year dictatorship. Foreign Policy reported on the CIA's role in an article titled CIA Meddling Race Riots and the Phantom Death Squad. Washington funded splinter and opposition groups called Groups Challenging Joggin, whose, as the country's primer in its final colonial years, has developed close ties with Cuba's Fidel Castro. According to U.S. Department archival documents, $2.08 million was spent on covert action programs in Guyana between 1962 and 1968. Foreign Policy wrote, in the lead up to the poll, the CIA and AFL-CIO were on the ground, allegedly inciting racially charged strikes and riots. The U.S. fostered violence and death in British Guyana. A historian, Stephen G. Ray, author of U.S. Intervention in British Guyana, A Cold War Story, told FP, U.S. money fueled this violence and death, as it was supposed to have an interview with Mr. Robb in September 2017, so you have a chance, folks, check it out. I present this information not to dismiss or diminish the threats of violence faced by people of color in the face of white supremacy and nationalism. I am also not claiming that every alt-right in Antifa is a cop or a government agent. What I'm attempting to raise awareness is about the possibility that various forces within the ruling class, government, media, unions, academia, etc., may be stoking the flames of racial division, or in some cases directly going to the streets to commit acts of violence. Make no mistake, this violence will be answered with a heavily militarized police state. But in other words, folks, you have to really pay attention. And I have folks from certain groups I gotta say it's called subversified by any means. However, some of these folks I knew for over 20 plus years, so we grew up together, and we share this information in good faith, just to say, hey, you gotta be aware of it. And they know me well enough that I have a lot of merit in this perspective. So you always gotta pay attention. Like Gideon and 300 men, okay, that'd be a great start. And like, you don't have to be a Bible fanatic, but it's a good story to check out. To be clear, I do not support or condone missionary acts of violence at this point in time. I know there is still power in face-to-face conversation, which allows opposing viewpoints to be heard and discussed rationally. I also know that in a truly free society, there will be individuals who choose to favor their culture, ethnicity, nationality, or race, be they Native, European, African, etc. Although they are not my preferences, I know there is every individual right as long as they are not initiating force or coercion on other free people. Having said that, I oppose violence and authoritarianism from both the left and right. If you take anything from this piece, if you take anything away from this piece, let it be renewed sense of skepticism and self-awareness. Remember to question everything, including your presuppositions and motives. Remember that most people in the world enjoy experiencing and intermingling with a diverse set of cultures, customs, foods, traditions, and languages. The majority of people are not judging people based on their color or nation of birth. Most of us are free, beautiful, powerful beings. We are surrounded by free, beautiful, powerful individuals. Soon we recognize this, the sooner we can move the past division and centralizing being forced upon our lives. That is very cool, and of course you can freely repost and be part or full author attribution. So, and it does make a lot of sense, because they just want us at each other's throats and we could be ruled. There's a thing called divide and conquer, and Charlottesville was a fantastic, notorious example. That people just focused on the face value and never examined the fine print. So the folks that had that mindset really need to pay attention. That's what Mr. Burroughs has to say, and I do have to support him on it, because he is positively, absolutely correct. And I'm the same way. I do have my nationality roots, and I'm always proud of my European heritage also, and everything else in between. I got folks in my family are part Mexican descent and Puerto Rican, including myself. But you know what? It's awesome, man. When you learn about these things, you be proud. And even the people in the European community should not be ashamed. If these schools trying to make people say you should be punished for being white, I will go there and pop the daylights out of that teacher. Now, that's what happens when you're trained Uncle Tom or Aunt Jemima to this state. Because what they're doing is manipulating the kids on their guilt trip, which is totally unacceptable, and I condemn it. This is just an example. Because even to everyone else that from the African descent, Asian descent, and all that, you're not pieces of garbage. Make that clear. And I've been very persistent at this. And I made my falters in my life as well. But one thing I know for sure, I always look at people as treat them as individuals. That's it. No one's but one particular is not a bunch of animals. You got your vicious, wicked folks, people with wicked mindsets across the board. I'm not going to argue with that, at all. But the bottom line, we are as individuals. They want us fighting amongst each other so they can say, you can't rule yourselves, we will. And I say, the hell with them. Don't get gladioed. Don't get entrapped. This is what they want. The New World Order wants us to be dumb, stagnant, and happy, and be owned. And now we'll be back. Ooh, I'm sorry about that. That was cool. Alright. So I'll definitely add that to the memo. Let me see. Let's check something out here before I go. Okay. Yeah, we added to the memo, so check it out, folks. It's very good stuff. Yeah, the footnotes here is very good on Charlottesville and FBI's connection to white supremacists. So definitely check that out. All right, next one here is in reference to Donald Trump reversal on military gear for local police, and Rand Paul slams it. This is from The Hill, and it says, it reads here. Who wrote this? Olivia Beavers, and it says here, Senator Ron Paul, Republican from Kentucky, on Monday denounced the Donald Trump administration planning a reverse ban on local and police state arming themselves with military equipment, saying would encroach on civil American liberties. Paul criticized the decision in a series of tweets, saying the move would subsidize militarization and provide an elusive and dangerous of false security to Americans. And he had a couple of them say here, Americans must never sacrifice their liberty for an elusive and dangerous or false security. I disagree with AG Jeff Sessions on 1033. And what the heck? Shoot. Hold on here. I hate when you do that to me. Alright, so the little tweets here. And of course, he did one here, another tweet he did here. Said Americans must never sacrifice, elusive, okay. And said right down here, the militarization of law enforcement is due to the unprecedented expansion of government power in this realm. And another one down here, it's one thing for federal officials to work with local authorities to reduce or solve crime. It's another for them to subsidize militarization. Attorney Jeff Sessions announced earlier in the day that Trump will sign an executive order on Monday that lists a controversial ban of the so-called 1033 Pentagon program, reversing policies imposed by the Obama administration. Trump will largely campaign on restoring law and order, will open the gates of police to militarize their departments with heavy-duty arms, including armed aircraft, armored vehicles, grenade launchers, bayonets, and high-caliber guns and ammunition. In 2015, then President Barack Obama hated the 1033 program after images surfaced showing heavily armed police forces responding to protests in Ferguson, Missouri. Those restrictions went too far, Sessions said on Monday. We will be put superficial concerns above public safety. All you need to do is turn the TV right now and now to see that the Houstonans, this isn't about appearances, it's about getting the job done and getting everyone to safety, he added, referring to the high flood ravaged Texas city. Paul, who was largely advocate of hands-off government system, said he will oppose the reinstatement program and fund billing for it in the Senate. He says here, it's one thing for federal officials to work with local authorities to reduce or solve crime, another to subsidize. And he says here, I will oppose this move by AG administration. I will continue to fight for civil liberties and criminal justice system. So that is, as Rand Paul, I give him credit for that. I'm pleased that he is against it, and everyone who is real concerned about this should support this man, because, like him or not, if you have something in common, stick with him on that title. Support him and share this information to everyone else, because that is a fact. It's very treacherous. Centralization at its finest. Alright, next one here is a pretty long one. This came from Zero Hedge. Journalist interrogated fired for story of Lincoln, CIA and Syria weapons flights by Tyler Durden. As it reads here, a month-long investigation was tracking and exposed a massive covert weapon shipment network to terror groups in Syria via diplomatic flights originating in the Caucasus and Eastern Europe under the watch of the CIA and other intelligence agencies has resulted in the interrogation and firing of the Bulgarian journalist who first broke the story. This comes as the original report is finally breaking into mainstream international coverage. Investigative reporter Diana Gayenza-Ziva authored a bombshell report for True newspaper based in Sofia, Bulgaria, which found that as the Balian State airline company was regularly transporting tons of weaponry to Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Turkey under diplomatic cover as part of the CIA covert program to supply anti-Assad fighters in Syria. Those weapons, Gayenza found, ended up in the hands of ISIS and Al-Qaeda terrorists in Syria, Iraq, and Syria. While it's long been understood that the U.S. Gulf NATO coalition army and rebels inside Syria facilitated the rapid rise of the Islamic State, as the group had steady access to the shoddy Walmart of weapons. In the words of former spy and British diplomat, the True newspaper report is first to provide exhaustive documentation detailing the precise logistical chain of weapons as they are flown from the country of origin to the battle in Syria. Gayenza even traveled to Hepelo, where she filmed and examined labeled weapons and shipping containers held in underground jihadist storehouses. There's links on here too. You can really look at this. Bulgaria-based journalists obtained and published dozens of secret internal memos were leaked to her by an anonymous source as part of the report. The leaked documents appeared to be internal communications between the Bulgarian government and Algerian embassies in Sofia, detailing flight plans to Silkway Airlines, which are essential operating off-the-books weapons transport service, after subject to inspections or attacks under diplomatic covers for the U.S. Operations Command, or USACOM, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Germany, Denmark, and Sweden. Silk Airways has been subject of other recent investigations involving weapon supplies for the Saudi war on Yemen. In addition, the military monitoring site Balkan Insight has exposed similar weapons cargo flights in and out of neighboring Serbia. It's interesting here, but perhaps the more funding involved private American companies contracted with the U.S. government to help train and equip militants in Syria. An investigative series by BuzzFeed, the first of which was published in 2015, named military contractor Purple Shovel LCC as a recipient of the two no-bid contracts totaling more than $50 million as part of the U.S. train and equip program for Syria. Galdinson's report definitely linked Purple Shovel and other private military contractors to the Algerian Silkway Airlines shipments. One leaked memo includes a cargo manifest for multiple tons of anti-tank grenades purchased in Bulgaria by Purple Shovel, which were obscenely designated for their official consignee. The Ministry of Defense of Azerbaijan, but which never made it to Azerbaijan. The documents, however, revealed that military cargo was offloaded at Turkey's Incirlik Air Base, which one of the U.S. and NATO's main command centers for covert operations in Syria. Phil Gayantazaviz's report is months old, began through a series of small investigations. It gained little traction in Western international press, even though it was promoted on social media and discussed among some of the world's foremost experts on Syria and the Middle East. However, on Sunday, Qatar-based Al Jazeera featured a story while reporting the shocking news that Galdinsonova has been interrogated by Bulgarian authorities before being fired from her newspaper. Gayantazava said on Thursday in a tweet she was fired from her job as truth after she was interrogated by the Bulgarian National Security, which tried to find out her sources. She said she first got suspicious of the weapons transferred to Syria when she found Bulgarian-made weapons at the hands of terrorists in Aleppo while reporting on the Syrian war there. She said she then traced those weapons to its Bulgarian manufacturers, only to find out those weapons were illegally exported to Syria, to Saudi Arabia, which turned supply to terrorists in Syria. And she did have a interesting, says here on her tweet, I got fired for telling the truth about weapons supplies for terrorists in Syria on domestic flights. And that's on August 24th. This is 350 flight carry weapons for terrorists. So Airways, you can see the video itself. Al Jazeera now belatedly highlighting the story in the midst of the current Qatar-Saudi diplomatic war, which has resulted in a general airing of dirty laundry as each side continues to accuse the other of supporting terrorism. Regardless, Al Jazeera's coverage constitutes the first time has entered into mainstream, which we've reported at the recent Trump decision to end the program of regime change in Syria. It appears as an apparatus for external weapon shipments to jihadists in Syria remains in place through the continuous Silkway Airlines weapons pipeline, as Al Jazeera reports. Look at this interesting stuff here, right? Speaking to Al Jazeera by phone on Sunday from Bulgaria, Gayantazava, hope I pronounced the name right, said Saudi Arabia, UAE, and the U.S. must stop using the cover of Silkway Airlines diplomatic flights who supply Eastern European weapons, which end up in the hands of terrorists around the world. Diplomatic flights are exempt from checks and inspections. And of course, there's no brief commentary begins. And it says here about the Middle East airlift. It tells you where they're going, 68 cargo flights, going from Bay Area to the Middle East. It's interesting. And of course, there's a lot of stuff in here as well. The excerpts from the original supplies. You know, like, wow. Well, we'll continue on here. That's here, of course, both investigated reporting, burn, organized crime, corruption reporting project. CCRP also carried out their own lengthy investigations, which are consistent with true news. Journalists kind of gaze Hansa's Via's findings and graphic source spoken insight. The CIA program relied heavily on U.S. allied Saudi Arabia to arm anti-Assad jihadists. But it appears that the U.S. recently ended the CIA side of things. There's no evidence to suggest that Saudi Arabia or other participating allied countries ever seized or even slowed their part of the operations. Also, given that both CIA and Pentagon contract with private firms acting as middlemen to get weapons to the Syrian battlefield, if it's uncertain if all aspects of the CIA program have really been shut down. Historically, the CIA has sometimes farmed out legally questionable activities to private contracts for the sake of plausible deniability. Furthermore, the Pentagon side of the program, which supplies Kurdish and Arab groups in the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, appears to be ramping up of late. Given the latest developments, a true newspaper firing its own journalists and Bulgarian authorities attempt to locate the sources, it is entirely possible and likely that pressure is building for True to remove the story from its website. A new Al Jazeera story has brought fresh international attention to Ghazia's findings, which is sure to increase the controversy. Below the excerpts from the original True story report, with images, selected leaked documents, from original reports contain dozens of downloadable leaks, memos which relate to content summarized by Dalia Ghazani. So there's a lot of interesting stuff here, and it tells you about the amounts and a lot of money. Ooh, interesting. A lot of stuff is here. They're still in Virginia too. Interesting. Government docs leaked by hackers. Anonymous Bulgaria revealed weapons pipeline to terrorists. According to these documents, Silkway Airlines offered diplomatic flights to private companies and arms manufacturers in the U.S., Balkans, and Israel, as well as to militaries of Saudi Arabia, UAE, and U.S. Special Operations Command, and the military forces of Germany and Denmark and Afghanistan and Sweden and Iraq. Diplomatic flights are exempt of all checks, air bills, and taxes, meaning Silkway airplanes freely transport hundreds of tons of weapons to different locations around the world without regulation. They made detectable landings with strays varying from a few hours up to day in intermediary locations without any logistical reasons, such as needing to refuel the planes. U.S. sends $1 billion worth of weapons. Among the main customers of the diplomatic flights for weapons service provided by Silkway Airlines are American companies which supply weapons to the U.S. military and U.S. Special Operations Command. The common element in these cases is that they all supply non-U.S. standard weapons, hence the weapons are not used by U.S. forces. According to registered federal contracts over the last 3 years, American companies were awarded $1 billion contracts in a total under a special U.S. government program for non-U.S. standard weapon supplies. All of them use Silkway Airlines to transport weapons. In some cases, when Silkway was short of aircraft due to busy schedule, Azerbaijan Air Force aircraft transported military cargo, although weapons never reached Azerbaijan. John. Documents leaked from the embassy included shocking examples of weapons transport. Case point, May 12th May 2015, an aircraft of Azerbaijan Air Force carried 7.9 tons of PG-7V and 10 tons of PG-9V. The supposed destination via route Burgas or Bulgaria. Insert link Turkey, Burgas, Narzani, which is in Azerbaijan. The co-signor was the American company Purple Shovel, and the co-signee Ministry of Defense of Azerbaijan. According to the documents, however, the military cargo was offloaded at Kurlik military base and never reached the co-signee. The weapons were sold to private Purple Shovel by Angus, Bulgaria, and manufactured by Bulgaria's VMZ military plant. According to Federal Contracts Registry, in December 2014, USSOCOM signed a $20.6 million contract for Purple Shovel. Bulgaria was indicated as the country of origin of weapons. So, a lot of interesting stuff is happening here on this area. So, you know how that goes. Follow the money, right? U.S. covert programmed some Bulgarian weapons to Al-Qaeda via military contractor. On June 6, 2015, a 41-year-old American national, Francis Novello, an employee of Purple Shovel, was killed in a blast when a rocket-propelled grenade malfunctioned in a military range at the village of Anavo in Bulgaria. 2 other Americans and 2 Bulgarians were also injured. The U.S. Embassy to Bulgaria then released a statement announcing that the U.S. government contractors were working on a U.S. military program to train and equip moderate rebels in Syria, which resulted in the U.S. ambassador to Sofia to be immediately withdrawn from her post. The very same weapons as those supplied in Purple Shovel were not used by moderate rebels in Syria. In December of last year, while reporting on the Battle of Aleppo as a correspondent for Bulgarian media, I found and filmed 9 underground warehouses full of heavy weapons in Bulgaria as a country of origin. They were used by Al-Nusra Front, Al-Qaeda affiliated in Syria, designated as a terrorist organization by the United Nations. Hey, look at that. See, interesting stuff here. See, that's how we talk stalls go. Can we say RICO? Yeah, right. But they're exceptional. If United do it, throw the book at these SOBs. Saudi Arabia sponsors and armed distributors besides the U.S. and another country that has purchased large quantities of Eastern European weapons and exported them on Silkway Airlines domestic flights to Saudi Arabia. In 2016-2017, there were 23 diplomatic flights carrying weapons from Bulgaria, Serbia, and Azerbaijan to Jeddah and Wydad. The co-signees were VMZ military plant and Transmobiles from Bulgaria, Yugo Import from Serbia, and Jihads from Azerbaijan. The kingdom does not buy those weapons for itself, as Saudi army used only Western weapons, and those weapons are not compatible with its military standards. Therefore, the weapons transported on diplomatic flights end up in the hands of the terrorist militants in Syria and Yemen that Saudi Arabia officially admits supporting into the application form. You can see for yourself. All the details are there. Okay, it says same thing here. Reports links internationally transported weapons to ISIS on 5th March 2016 in Azerbaijan Air Force aircraft carrying 17 pieces RPG-7 for Senior Ministry of Defense of Azerbaijan and 2,500 picks of PGZ-7VM. Co-signer TransMobile Limited in Bulgaria for the Ministry of Defense of Saudi Arabia. Diplomatic flights from Burgas Airport to Prince Sultan Airport on the 18th and 28th February 2017. Each carried a further 5,080 pieces, 40mm PG-7V for RPG-7 and 24 24,978 units of GD5. Excuse me. The weapons were exported by Transmobile, Bulgaria's Ministry of Defense of Saudi Arabia. Some munitions and RPG-7 originating in Bulgaria can be often seen videos filmed and posted by the Islamic State on the propaganda channels. Look at that! It's like unbelievable, huh? Weapons and silk way manifest appears on the Syrian battlefield months after arrival in Turkey and Saudi Arabia. The 41.2 ton cargo from Baku and Belgrade included 7.62 millimeter cartridges, 12 piece sniper rifles, 25 picked M12 Black Spear caliber, 12.7 by 108 millimeters, and pieces RBG 40 by 46 millimeter, 6 M11 and 25 pieces. Coyote machine gun, which is 12.7 by 108 millimeter with tripods. The same heavy machine gun appeared in videos and photos posted online by military groups in Idlib, in the province of Hama in Syria. A few months later, the aircraft also carried 1,999 pieces M70B1, which is 7.62 by 39 millimeters at 25 pieces. And there's another one here, M69A, a 2 millimeter. On 26 February 2016, a video feature saying M69A, a 2 millimeter weapons was posted on YouTube by military groups calling themselves Division 13, fighting north of Aleppo, and stuff from the Turkish territory. All the details are right there. You can really see this for yourselves. And it says here, interestingly, the aircraft that carried the same type of weapons landed in Diyarbakir, Turkey, 235 kilometers away from the border with Syria. Another type of weapon, RBG 40mm /6 M1111, which was the same flight supposedly destined for Congo too, appeared in a video for the Islamic Brigade of Al-Safra in northern Aleppo as the Turkey aircraft landed in Saudi Arabia and remained there for a day afterwards. Landed in Congo and Burkina Faso. A week later, there was an attempt for a full military coup in Burkina Faso. And you get the full reports, leaked documents, all right here. There's a link for that. You can see for yourselves. So the Silkway Airlines, 4 codes and all that, which actually came out July 4th, 2017 from Founders Code. Denise Simon, and there's all these flights. So a lot of information is in here. So it's not a fraudulent link. But hey, follow the money, my friends. Unbelievable, you know, and you gotta give her a lot of credit for making this happen. And this is why. So it's called the war on journalism. Okay, it's just another example. And I'm just glad she didn't get killed, but hopefully she'll be watching her back. So to Miss Gaten Gaetan Zaiva, hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. You have our token of homage for having the courage to put this out there, because this is what the New World Order don't want us to know. They want us to be distracted by all the propaganda shoved down our throats, even this race war, trying to hypnotize us like zombies. And that's why I say a lot more is going on, my friends. So I'll be back. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna do one more thing here. That's a commentary from MikeMaharry.com. Michael Maharry, he's from the 10th Amendment Center, and this came out. It's called Maharry's Monday Misusing. Came out 20th, of course, of August. It says here, the enemy of my enemies, not my friend. I see a disturbing trend in some corners of the liberty movement over the last few months. I've noticed people drifting into a full-blown support of the alt-right. I understand the impulse. We put up with the lunacy are the left far too long. We see groups like Antifa violently trying to suppress free speech. We see social justice warriors conducting witch hunts. We see mobs tearing down statues and rewriting history before our very eyes. We want to push back. We see the so-called alt-right pushing back and pushing back hard. It's easy to want to join their cause. We are witnessing a strong right-wing backlash after years of left-wing absurdity. I get it. And some level, I appreciate it, but I won't join it. Why? Because there is a cause. Their cause is not my cause. Hardcore nationalism is nothing more than another brand of collectivism. And when you start to add Caucasian version of identity politics into the mix, it gets ugly fast. I've actually been told one or more than one occasion that I'm denying my blood because I refuse to get caught up in my identity politics game. Sorry, I have no desire to advance the cause of such people. Why in the world should I champion people who will lock me out of their utopia should they ever achieve the power to establish it? So it's like government coup and all that. Like if they win, all the pawns, just throw them in the cage or take them out. I'll be honest, even wary on the run-of-the-mill Trump supporters who have embraced the president because they see him as some kind of hedge against the left. He has no respect for the Constitution. He usurps power, just like past presidents. Trump is no friend of liberty. This right-wing movement just wants political power. And political power wielded by right-wing status is just as dangerous as wielded by left-wing status. The enemy of my enemies are not necessarily my friends. They may be my enemies too. Here's the thing, there's no reason to take a side. We don't have to embrace one side in order to reject the other. It is impossible to reject them both and go on our way. A Facebook friend summed it up perfectly. No liking dog turds on my carpet doesn't mean dog puke is okay. That doesn't mean we have to isolate ourselves from everybody we disagree with. I prefer to take an issue by issue approach, but I'm more happy to work with people on the left or on the right to advance certain causes. But that doesn't mean I have to buy into or support the whole program. I don't have to pick a side. I am a side. So my plan is simply follow my principles wherever they may lead. Here's a quote of the week. For the libertarian, the main task to present epoch is to cast off his needless and debilitating pessimism, to set his sights on long run victory, and to set about the road to his attainment. Matthew Rothberg. That's right, my friends. My goal, liberty, is my thing. Individualism, I support. Those are my principles. Natural law. A right to be a freedom-loving, sovereign-thinking human being. I don't need to pick sides. I see this game of plutocracy on both sides of the paradigm. And you know what? When it comes to the game of plutocracy, I despise it. And I hope everyone else does the same thing. Alright, my friends, and that is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to see something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. Excuse me, you can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Breaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com, FutureNet.club, or Patreon.com/LokiLuck3, or 3 eyes. If you want to be a patron, donate money, $1, don't matter, it'd be great. In addition, if you email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com, or for your encrypted finance, LokiLuck03@protonmail.com. Alright, my friends, that's all for now. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is subject to the soul against liberty humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love. May your guardian spirits be with you.